I want to talk about subtraction one more time. If you keep wrestling with this, it will stick in your mind and make sense at some point, I promise. So subtraction, we could be kind of profound and say that there's no such thing as subtraction. Subtraction is really just addition. Subtraction is when we add the opposite. So, for example, if I have something like 3 minus 2 that you already know the answer of because you've been doing it for a long time, I could redefine this and I could say that this is really 3 plus a negative 2. So think about it for a minute. 3 take away 2 means I have 3 candy bars and you take away 2 of them, and so I only have 1 left. 3 plus a negative 2 is really saying I have 3 candy bars and then I have 2 that are a debt or that I owe to, and so when I get rid of those, I only have 1 left. So if you think about these numbers, both of these equal 1, positive 1. We could think about this on a number line. I'll show you that in just a few minutes. We could think about it again with canceling things. Let's suppose I have 3 positive numbers. You could think of them as 3 coins or 3 candy bars. And let's say I'm going to talk about 3 negatives, or I'm sorry, 2 negatives, because we're going to say plus 2 negatives. So these guys cancel each other out, right? And then I have this positive 1 left over. We can look at one more example here. Let's do something else that you already know. Let's say 6 take away, let's do 4. So if I want to apply my add the opposite, subtraction means add the opposite, then I'm going to have 6 positives and 4 negatives, and those are going to cancel out. Remember, in the other lesson I talked about bad guys and good guys, if you watched it, but notice what's left over, 2, positive 2. So when we look at the numbers, if you have a positive and a negative, you're going to subtract because you're going to find the difference. You're going to find the ones that cancel out like this. And when you subtract 6 minus 4, you get 2. Sometimes we're going to come up with numbers where maybe the bigger number was negative instead of the smaller number being negative. Whichever is the bigger number gets to win and gets the sign. In the cases that I was showing you, both of the bigger numbers were positive, and so the answer is going to be positive. So let's watch for that in these examples. So 5 minus 9 is really 5 plus a negative 9. And when I have 5 positives, and I have 9 negatives, I'm going to see these guys all cancel out. And notice that I have 4 negatives left over. I could have just subtracted these numbers. 9 minus 5 is 4. And the bigger number had the negative, so it wins. So the answer to this is negative 4. If I want to do negative 3 minus 6, I'm still going to add the opposite. And now I have negative 3 and I have negative 6. All of these being negatives. So I just have a lot of negatives. So I add the 3 and the 6 and get 9. They were both negative, so it's just a lot of negative. Here I have 5 minus 8. So I'm going to have 5 plus a negative 8. 5 and 8 are different signs here. We have a negative and a positive. So we're going to subtract them. 8 minus 5 is 3. And I'm just looking at the bigger number to get the sign. This time I didn't draw out the things that cancel, but you could. Here I have negative 2 minus 2. Again, I want you to practice this. Add the opposite. Change, change. Subtraction is adding the opposite. Now I have negative 2 and I have negative 2 more, and I'm adding them up, so I get negative 4. I just put them together. Here I have 5 minus a negative 6, and I'm still going to add the opposite. Now I have 5 plus 6. Hopefully you haven't gotten so far away from the things that you already know. 4 minus a negative 5 is 4 plus a positive 5. And now I have difference again. 1, 2, 3, 4 negatives. And I have 5 positives. Cancel, 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 cancel. Notice that I have 1 positive left. Or I could have said 4 and 5 are different signs, so I'm going to subtract. Look at the bigger number to get the sign. And we never have to put a plus in front of our positive number. All right. 7 minus a negative 8 plus a positive is 15. Negative 1 minus negative 5 plus a positive. Now they're different. I have a negative 1 and a 5, so I'm going to subtract. 5 minus 1 is 4. The bigger number is positive, so the answer is 4. Here we have a number line, so we can look to find the distance between negative 6 and negative 2. We've done some of these, but I know they're kind of confusing you. And notice 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a distance of 4 between them. It doesn't really matter whether I'm going to the left or to the right. The distance between those is 4. And then I could look at these differences. Negative 6 minus a negative 2. I want to add the opposite. Now I just have negative 6 and 2. They're different. 6 minus 2 is 4. And I'm going to look at the bigger number to get the sign. Okay, how about this? Negative 2 minus a negative 6. Add the opposite, and I have a negative 2 and a 6. The difference between 6 and 2 is 4. And in this case, I'm going to look at, sorry, I'm not going to look at that. I'm going to look at the bigger number to get the sign, which is positive. So notice that in these situations, I got one positive number and one negative number, but I don't really care about that when I'm figuring out distance. And so we're going to apply this absolute value. So this one becomes this, and this one becomes this. We have these absolute value signs. We just do this math inside here. It's the same as this math. And the absolute value of negative 4 is 4. The absolute value of 4 is 4. Absolute value is just distance. And distance is neither positive nor negative. We don't care about positive or negative. This is part of the explanation there, and I believe we are done.